Neil, what injury concerns? Any fresh injuries or players returning ahead of the game on Wednesday?
Not really. We've got a couple of little niggles, but hopefully they'll all be available for selection. So I think should be from the squad from last week.
Looking at the championship final day, 11 of the 12 games actually mean something mathematically. What does that say about the division?
I think it just not just the division. I think the playoffs have been amazing. Really, transfer, everything. It keeps fans interested right to the death, even bottom or top. And I think it shows the competitiveness of the championship. It's a hell of a league. I didn't know the stats. Apparently, I was the longest or most championship appearances apparently on Saturday. So I was read in one of the posh papers.
How do you reflect on that?
Yeah, I mean it's a hard league to manage. So many. I think I've 700 and odd appearances in the championship. It is a league that I love and it's great to be part of it, but it never ceases to amaze me. The favourites get beaten every week, and the underdogs come through. It's just one of those leagues.
How do you keep motivating yourself for it because of all sort of the emotional ups and downs of a league like that? How do you keep yourself enjoying it?
I think when you're not in it, you realise what you're missing, and I have enjoyed coming up here. I think I almost feel, I'm doing a job for the fans, really. That's how it feels. I'm making sure, or trying to make sure that we, keep our status and that the club can move forward, hopefully in a better 12-month period than the last 12 months.
And what about the actual scenario of Wednesday night? I know there are a few teams below you now. Do you feel that you have actually done enough at this point?
No, not at all. No, I mean we've always said we need another point. I think that's everybody's knows what the feelings at the club. It is a little bit of a it's a bit chaotic, isn't it? Really, the situation regarding Wigan and possibly Sheffield Wednesday. It's and I think one of those things that we should know what we're up against, really. But it doesn't appear to be that will happen before the game.
I was going to say, does that take the shine off somewhat? If you speak to any neutral, they're really excited about how much is riding on all of these games on Wednesday night. Well, almost all of them. Does that take the shine off slightly if there is this cloud overhead?
I don't think so. I just think at the level that we're talking about, I think it's wrong that it's not decided already one way or the other, really. So that the club's concerned and the rest of the league can get on with it. But it is what it is, and you've just got to make sure that that it doesn't matter what happens legally or in that respect. It's what happens on the field of play, really, and we are aware that we need another point.
Because it seems to be you've got this situation that Wigan technically could go down, but then win on an appeal, and of course there's so many other clubs involved as well.
Well, you know as much as what I do, I'm afraid, So we're all sort of guessing and surmising. And at the end of the day, we've got to try and get a point, and we haven't got to worry about whatever happens on on these situations.
Will you try and keep up to date with all of the other scores on Wednesday night?
It's difficult. I mean, I suppose we should do that. But in the past, I think you've really got to concentrate on your own team, really. We know what's needed, and that's what we've got to try to try and get that point and get over the line. But I'm sure with what it is, the IT nowadays, everybody knows that within 20 seconds of somebody scoring, everybody knows they've scored. So I'm sure that we'll be aware, because you can't keep that away from anybody, I don't think.
I suppose the only negative is quite often when goals are going in on a final day like this, you've got the fan reaction, and you can tell from the fans sometimes as well that there's that added drama, but obviously that won't be there.
No, it usually goes around the ground. You can hear them, the murmurs going around the ground as it swills, as who's scored and who hasn't scored. I remember at Cardiff, I think it was it Reading? I can't remember who it was now, but the last day, Fulham, wasn't it? Fulham, the last day, and who's doing this, and then all of a sudden they'd scored, and it was around. But it can be naughty. I think one of a group, somebody put a wrong score out on a purpose, and that went round the ground as well. So I think you've just got to make sure 100% that the people that are telling you are telling the truth.
Just a final couple from me, Neil. I was going to ask you: is it true that you're not actually taking a salary from Middlesbrough this season? And if so, what's your thinking behind that?
Well, I'd be mad if I wasn't. But I've just we haven't discussed things. Steve Gibson and myself. Just the main thing was to come up, and I'm sure that he will reward myself and Kevin and Ronnie if we can achieve what we've set out to do. That's the kind of club it is. But it's more important that we get the right result and make sure the club is in the Championship. It's been a hard work, and we've got one more hurdle to overcome now.
And the players seem to be really responding to you. Will you stay on next season?
Well, I think that's, Steve and I will get together after the game and possibly on Thursday and have a chat and throw things about. Whatever happens, I think I can offer quite a lot of advice, if I'm honest, behind the scenes, and that's what I will do one way or the other.
Neil, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Don?
Now then, where are you, Don?
Hello, I'm not actually in San Francisco, although it looks like it. I am actually in Newcastle. Yeah. It's the magic of
time. Where are you, Eagles Cliff?
No, Newcastle.
Okay.
It's got a nice bridge as well, but I don't know if it's quite as impressive as that. We've already mentioned this sort of chaotic situation. The EFL put out a statement last night to try and clarify things, but it didn't really, did it?
No, it just muddied the waters, really. I don't think anybody knows. You know as much as anybody, as much as what I do. All I know is that we need a point to not worry about anything else. I think that's our main concern.
It's just not an ideal situation for the division to be in, though, is it really, at this stage?
No, it's not. I mean, not just Wigan, but, the Sheffield Wednesday, as well. I think it's very difficult for the managers concerned as well, the clubs concerned, and everybody else down at the bottom end. It's for me, things like that should be clarified before the last game of the season. But it is what it is, so we have to just carry on.
And the fact that you're playing against one of those teams that whose fate could be decided in a few weeks' time, is that going to make it harder than it normally would anyway?
I don't think so. I mean, it'll be a tough game anyhow for us. We know how Gary's done at Sheffield, and we've got some good players. But we've just got to try and concentrate on ourselves. And every game's tough. We've already talked about 11 games. There's something riding on it. So it's. I think it's. It's tough for everyone this last game of the season.
At least, as we sort of said, that your fate is still in your own hands, and that has to be a good thing.
Yeah, it is, and that's all you ask for, really. Come this stage of the season, it's down to yourself and your team to come up with the answers.
What is the mood in the camp? Because I think everyone assumed in many ways that the Boro's season would go right down to the wire. What's the mood amongst the players?
Yeah, the lads are good. I mean, it hasn't been for a lack of trying or anything. The lads have given me everything. It's just been a little bit naivety, when you've worked on things. To lose goals like we have done, quite schoolboy stuff, really, to concede at a corner after 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is. We've done nothing but shoot ourselves in the foot, really, at home. But away from home, we've done really well. And, they've done what we've expected of them and probably more. So it's, we go down to Sheffield quite confident.
And the fact that it is an away game, as you say, is in many respects in your favour.
Yeah, I think so, because we know, it's a weird situation turning up at the ground and going wherever you put, and the social distancing and all that lot. And, the sooner the fans come back and the lads get in the dressing room, I think the better it is, really. But it is strange at the moment. We've just got to get on with it.
How disappointing was it to lose Johnny Howson for this game?
Well, it was very disappointing. I mean, it's he's been a real, I think, a real plus for me since I've come to the club. And he's let everybody down, really, not being available on the last game. I'm disappointed in him. But it's done and dusted now, and we have to get on without him.
And how difficult is it for Steve Gibson to try and plan for next season when so much is up in the air?
I think it's the same for every club in the country, really. Everybody, in the Championship in particular, they don't know where they are, where they're going to be, and so you can't really go ahead. But we have been talking about the situation, whether whoever's in charge, about players, etc., and making sure we get the right type of player. And they've been looking at all over the place at targets, and but until you know what division you're in, and the Championship is far different to Division 1 financially. That's why it's so important that we stay at this level.
Yes, I mean, I know you've spoken about it before in the last couple of weeks, but what impact could a drop to League One have on Middlesbrough?
Well, you've seen up the road at Sunderland. It's not easy to get out of, because once you get down there, you're a big fish, and teams lift themselves, and they lift the games for that 90 minutes against you. And it is doubly hard for a big side, I think, for a big club to get back. Sheffield Wednesday themselves a few years ago, Aston Villa, all, Wolves, they've all been down there, and it hasn't been easy to get out of it.
I know you've been in these situations many, many times over the years, but how nerve-wracking will it be for you tomorrow night? Yeah,
it'll be. The heart will be in the mouth a bit. I'm sure it'll be one of those things, but that's what we're in the game for these moments, and that's why you've got to focus on trying to do your best to make sure you get the right result.